Hello everyone, I would like to talk about the Logitech G435 and Bluetooth, as I think that it's important for gaming. I'll start with my experiences with the G435. Unfortunately, my experiences with the G435 were very limited. I was able to use it on Bluetooth, but not the USB. I'll get into that in a moment here, but I would say my overall experiences were good. I did not expect such audio quality to come out of an $80 mic, or I'm sorry, headset. It was very comfortable, didn't feel flimsy, and it worked well with Bluetooth perfectly fine. It was just the USB that had issues. I'll get into the cloth part here in a minute as well, but let me go ahead and get into the USB issue. I tried using the USB adapter on 3 different computers. 2 were Manjaro Plasma PCs, and 1 was Windows. On all 3 computers, the USB adapter did not work. I think I understand why it didn't work, but I can't confirm it. I'm not a software engineer or things of that nature. When I plugged in the USB device, I tried the front USB ports for my case, and then I tried plugging it directly into the back where the motherboard is. On both places, for all 3 computers, it was registering as an analog device, not a USB device. I think because it was running as an analog device, it wasn't registering properly with the operating systems, and therefore the operating systems couldn't direct audio to it. I think that's what happened. If I am correct, then it's likely a faulty USB adapter. If it isn't, then that's going to really hurt the G435, because if it needs software specific to register its USB device, then that's not going to be worth it at all, even for $80. You should always try to buy devices that are universal, so if something happens or things like that. But yeah, so that was kind of my short-lived experience with the G435. As far as the cloth is concerned, I did like the cloth on the G435. I think more headsets need to use cloth. The reason I switched off of headsets recently for most of my gaming, because I'm using speakers, is due to the fact that I live in a very hot state, and it's only getting hotter because of global warming, apparently. When it gets as hot as it does, my room is anywhere between 78 to 86 Fahrenheit. When it's that hot, I am sweating when I'm trying to wear headsets. The fake leatherette that you find on almost every annoying headset out there just peels away once it gets exposed to that much sweat. Cloth, on the other hand, is very good at absorbing it, I've noticed. Unfortunately, though, there's very few headsets that come with cloth. They're almost all fake leatherette, which drives me insane. I wish more companies would use moisture-wicking fabric. It's not hard to find. I can go to Amazon or any specialty fabric store and get a moisture-wicking fabric. As a matter of fact, I tested a moisture-wicking fabric in recent years that actually did not let the sink water pass through it. If sink water can't get past the fabric, then your sweat shouldn't. That's the kind of stuff they really need to be putting in these headsets. Another thing, too, that they need to really start doing with these headsets is make them easy to remove the ear cups and things of that nature. I can tell you, after years of wear, it gets gross from your hair and other stuff getting into it. It needs to be removable for washing purposes. That's another thing that really needs to change with headsets. But that's my little rant with headsets. Let me move on to Bluetooth. I think that gaming headsets, in addition to having cloth used on them, I think that all headsets that are wireless should have the ability to switch over to Bluetooth if necessary. The reason I think this is because a lot of your wireless headsets, plus or minus the G435, is going to be between $100 and $200. If you're asking someone to spend $100 to $200 of their hard-earned money on it, I would hope that it's more than a dedicated PC gaming headset. Also, actually, another thing too, I just thought about this, is some people do play games on their phone or things like that. Having a gaming headset that can switch between USB wireless and Bluetooth wireless allows that person to now also game on their phone. So I would say that's another good reason to have Bluetooth as part of a wireless headset. With that said, let's talk about Bluetooth because it relates to this. One of the downfalls of Bluetooth is either you need an adapter for it or you need to buy a motherboard that's wireless in capability. That might be why they're not doing it, but I think that if it were more common, maybe that would help encourage it, I guess. But yes, if there was more wireless motherboards and gaming rigs, I think that would be great. And I want to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But one other thing I want to point out while I'm talking about Bluetooth is the audio device. So for Bluetooth, you can use an adapter or the internal motherboard chip. Audio, however, has a bit more of a problem when it comes to that because it's not something you can easily replace because motherboards have been, well, I should say people have been relying on their motherboard integrated audio for so long. Products like digital audio converters are pretty hard to come by and they can be very expensive. So replacing those actually can be quite costly if you manage to even find them. So I think that you should shoot for a good audio chip and a Bluetooth chip in a motherboard for any gaming rig. I brought up some examples here to show you. Let me tab over. Okay, this is a Gigabyte X570 Aorus. I have pulled this one up specifically because it's either the B550 or X570. I forget which of the two that the review said is the best ITX motherboard for AMD. One of the two is the best, and it's unfortunate because Gigabyte has done some pretty scummy things recently, and I would like to now try to avoid them, assuming they do more scummy things, but that's another discussion. Either way, I want to point this out in the specifications sheet for you to see. So you can see that under the, what is that? Yeah, it's under onboard LAN category. You'll see it says Bluetooth 5.0. Yeah, so Bluetooth 5.0 is where you would look for the version. Well, assuming you're reading specifications sheets. You'll notice under the audio chipset, it's saying Realtek ALC, what is that? 1220 VB codec. Now, this is why I was wanting to point this out in addition to Bluetooth, because the audio chip that you're using on the motherboard does matter a great deal. I've done some reading on this, and as I understand it, the Realtek ALC 887 is your budget chip. It's not going to have great audio. As a matter of fact, the computer I do the recordings from has that, and that's why I know it's not great in terms of audio. In addition to my own experiences with it, I have read the exact same things elsewhere. So don't ever use a Realtek ALC 887 if you're planning to do anything more than MOBAs. If you're doing first-person shooters or any of that, please do not use Realtek ALC 887 on any gaming computer. I'm talking to anyone who builds computers or the brand names. Please do not use it. What you want is a Realtek ALC 1200 or 1220. These two are going to be more of your best audio chipsets. They're not as common, though. I've only seen the 1220 pop up on these ITX motherboards and I think one ATX motherboard. 1200 is a little bit more common. The thing you have to be aware of is those letters. Usually, if it's a custom Realtek, it's going to have a series of letters in front of it. For this one, it's VB. For the Asus TUF X570 Gaming Plus, that one has a different set of letters, but it's a 1200. So, yeah, make sure you're paying attention to this and this, well, the audio and the Bluetooth whenever you're looking at a motherboard. to ensure that you're getting the two things integrated if you ever do a gaming mother or a gaming PC. But yes, I want to point that out real quickly. Let me deviate now into a discussion about ITX, but let me tab over again. Okay, there. Just wanted to tab over because my discussion is going to go into this case that you're seeing on the screen. The reason I would like to see ITX is more common in gaming PCs, not just with brand names, but people who assemble PCs, is because of their cost, the fact that they have everything a gamer could need, and ITX in general is going to be smaller, which means better shipping. Shipping anywhere in the world is always going to depend on weight, size, and a couple of other factors. But weight and size are going to be the two big ones. That's what I've seen drive up the cost the most. Reducing the size as much as possible is so very helpful. So yes, those are the reasons I want to see ITX more common. What I meant by cost, I'll go and get into that. If you look at any motherboards right now for the wireless side of things, I'm not sure about Intel, but AMD I know, because I've been doing nothing but AMD builds for the last year or so. But on the AMD side, you'll notice that your first wireless motherboard that actually has a good audio chip, which is the Asus TUF Gaming Plus, starts at about $180. And it can go as high as $200 US, depending where you buy it, price, inflation, yada yada. That's kind of your starter wireless for the AMD side. Once you start getting to $200 to $210 US, you start running into the ITXs, and then at about $220 to $250, you start running into the ATXs. That's about where your prices are right now for the different motherboards that have wireless built in, at least with the ones that have a Realtek ALC 1200 or 1220, plus Bluetooth, of course. So the ITXs in their current state for the AMD side is a happy middle ground between the starting motherboard and the more mid-range motherboards for wireless. So yes, that's what I meant by the cost. Now to focus on the case and assembling an ITX build. One of the many things that has driven me nuts over the last couple of years is people saying, oh, ITX builds are so hard to build with, they don't have good upgradability, yada yada. All false. Your real problem when building with any ITX is choosing the wrong case. If you don't read your reviews and you don't check to see what size hardware it accepts, then that is a you problem. You have got to check all of those when running an ITX build, because some cases just don't have the room. For example, there is I think it's Fractal Design Node 500 or Core 500. I forget which of the two it is right now. One of the two, but it only has 2 expansion slots. You don't want to use that for a gaming computer. You need something like the Silverstone Sugo 14/15, which are 3 expansion slots plus a pretty good size, or something like this, which I've had up on the screen for a while. This is the newest case from Fantex. It's the Fantex 200 DRGB. If you'll notice, this ITX case has 3 expansion slots, and according to this, if it's a full-size 355mm 3-slot GPU. I think the power supply is an ATX too. Let's go ahead and check that real quickly. Let's see, it is... let's see, front I/O, vertical GPU, gross weight. Hold on, I gotta find it real quickly. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, it took me a minute to find it. PSU length, power supply unit, for short. But PSU length. Now, this is the other thing you have to check when building with ITXs. In addition to checking for the GPU clearance, you also have to check for PSU clearance. Sometimes it will be a series of numbers, or sometimes it will have some lettering to it. For example, if you look at the Silverstone, or no, wait, no, it's not Silverstone. Oh, it's Fractal Design. Yeah, if you look at the Fractal Design specifications on some of their cases, you'll notice that it says ATX power supply parentheses 150 millimeter. That's what you're looking for. If it says ATX, that means it fits the usual power supplies, the ones that you find in almost every gaming PC. In this case, it doesn't list that it supports ATX power supply units, but it does say that it can support up to 205, but 190 millimeters recommended. So you have more than enough room, because most of your quality power supply units that are ATX, like Antec Earthwatts Gold, I think it's Seasonic Focus Gold, I think it is. It's the one that you can find at Best Buy. But the Seasonic Focus Gold, Antec, and a couple of other higher quality power supplies are about 155 to 150 millimeters in length. So this case for sure supports those, which is what you want to see, because they are the most common. If you run into any ITX case like the Lianli 011 that says SFX power supply, I can tell you those are going to be hard to find and very expensive. You always want to check for a case that can fit the normal parts. Always. So that's why I say that it drives me insane when people say, "Oh, ITX is not very good." So that's just the case in parameters. Let's delve into the actual connectors now. ITXs will normally come with one PCI Express X16, which is the video card, and one M2 slot, which is your SSD connection for the M2s. Very rarely you'll ever see two SSDs on a single ITX motherboard, but that's okay. And here's why it's okay. If you're just a gamer or even a streamer, you should not need more than your video card and one drive. If you're using two drives, you're doing something completely wrong there. If you're trying to do two drive setups, you're far better off doing a home server using an APU with a NAS drive. And here's why I'm saying this. It's because if you do a dual boot or dual drive system, you actually can run into problems with certain games. Believe it or not, that actually is a bug in some games. It's not very common, but it does happen on and off. I remember Rage 2 had that issue. Rage 2 was the most recent example of a video game where I remember either a dual monitor or dual hard drive issue. Actually, I think it was both, if I remember right. I'll double check that later, but you always want to avoid this. For that reason and a couple others. You're better off just getting a single terabyte solid-state drive for all of your games, and if that's not enough for whatever it is you're doing, then yes, you just want to get a NAS server hard drive and just shove that into a home server. You can get a Seagate Iron Wolf for, I think, $80 for 2 terabytes. So just shove one of those into a separate PC, install Linux, and then just transfer your files over there if you have to. Or you can get a USB drive, which is like $40 for 256 gigs. Or you could get an external hard drive, I guess, but I don't really agree with doing external hard drives. But either way, I'm trying to point out, you just don't want to do this to yourself. You should only need one drive, one video card, and that's it, even if you're a streamer. If you're a streamer, then I would recommend that you use either USB or a LAN software to pull video from another computer. I don't have it pulled up, but one example I can think of is the crap, I've already forgotten its name, but there's a software out there, and I can link it in the description, that only works with Steam and Epic Games, but either way, it allows you to... Oh, it's Rainway. Yeah, it's Rainway. But yeah, Rainway allows you to use the LAN to play your games or the internet. So if you're not from home, you can have your gaming computer on and with a game, and then you can connect to it from another computer elsewhere and game through that. Essentially creating your own shadow service is what it is. So yeah, you can do any number of things. There's always a way around your issue if you think that ITX is not enough for gaming or streaming. If it's a workstation thing, then okay, I get that. Workstations usually need more connections than a gaming and streaming PC, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about gaming and streaming PCs. But yeah, I'm going on a bit of a ramble, so let me go ahead and end here. I hope I got the point across, though. Thanks for listening.